Coming up this week, I got driven to work by the scientist's wife. I discovered just how small the world of aviation is, and I discuss how critical it is to have the right runway loaded when leaving DFW Airport on an RNAV arrival. Make sure you don't turn the wrong way. All right, let's get started. And for just the second time this month, I'm wearing my uniform. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist. There's the youngest. Headed to the airport, not in the Pimp Wagon Deluxe, but in a Cadillac Lyric. The Pimp Wagon Deluxe has been retired, so to speak, for a while. Going to London, and this is the second time I'm going to London this month. Back-to-back London trips. I got back from London. Today is Sunday. On Friday, had just the afternoon off. Got back around 1. Had Saturday off, and most of Sunday off, and then headed back to London today. Not ideal, but it fits the schedule, and it is what it is. Currently 4:29 p.m. My report time is 5 p.m. We're already on airport property. I'm being driven to work because of this new car and our driveway situation. My Equinox is already at the airport, so I'll be driving it home. Second FO trip in a row, 777-300, and another trip where I have no idea who the crew is. Well, the captain is new to me. Yeah, we can go to my car. The captain is new to me. The FB I've flown with recently to London, so there's that. And this will be, again, the second trip of the month where I've worn a uniform. After this, I have just 2 or 3 days off, and then I go to Madrid, a deadhead there, and I fly back, and that will end my month. So follow along to London. I'm not sure it'll be too exciting. My last trip to London was not exciting at all. Didn't even film it, so we'll have to see if this one is worth filming. If you're seeing it, and I guess it is. But different view. There's the wife. There's the kid. They're gonna drop me off at my car, and they get to experience the lovely, lovely roads of DFW Airport. Yes, my wife dropped me off at the employee bus stop and not the actual terminal because DFW Airport is one of the few airports in the country where you must pay money to drop off or pick anybody up at the airport. So I did ride the employee bus over to the terminal to save $3. Hey, $3 counts, and headed into Terminal D. Now, this footage you're seeing now is from my trip I had a few days prior to London. But on this particular trip, when I got off the employee bus, I met a young man that works for my airline named Tian. He recognized me, said hi. He is working on his ratings as well locally. And aviation is a very small world. And on this day, it got super small. So when I was getting ready to leave the gate, the gate agent working the flight was his mom. Tian had texted his mom that, hey, I met Darren on the employee bus. He's working a flight to London. His mom happened to be the gate agent, saw my name, and he sent her a picture of us that he took with his phone. And she's like, hey, Darren, yeah, my son met you downstairs. Again, very small world. And I will never not be surprised when people recognize me in public because I am just a guy. And I'm amazed that people watch my videos and recognize me in public. And again, I always appreciate you saying hi, and I'll always talk to you if I have a few minutes, which normally I do. Tried to go through KCM, got denied. Had to go through normal security. While waiting for my bags, I did sign up for my trip. Again, I can sign up for my trip via my phone or my iPad. Use GPS to make sure it knows where I am. My report time I have to be on airport property at report time, which I clearly am. Most air flights on the 777-300 leave from Terminal D and the high D gates, like gate D21 or higher or so. Most time upper 20s and or higher. It's kind of nice, always leaving from the same area of the airport. Now, I've been flying for 18 years. I'm still a kid at heart. I still look out the window at the plane I'm getting ready to fly, and I'm like, wow, I get to fly this plane. How lucky am I? Is it silly? Maybe, but I will never stop doing it. Checked with the gate agent and headed down to the airplane. Again, going from the busy terminal down to the nice, quiet airplane. The process of going from home to just a jet bridge. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I'm here now. All right. Beautiful sunny day in Dallas on October 19th. Can't beat the weather in North Texas. Today, I'm going to kind of discuss the departure procedures, how we program the departure procedure out of Dallas, and why it's so important and vital to make sure you have the right runway selected. On this particular day, we're doing the Grabby 8 departure. I'll show it to you and explain it to you. This is a unique departure procedure that you can leave from multiple runways, north and south. And my expectation bias, well, I was wrong on the expected runway. I thought we depart from the east side of the airport. We departed from the west side of the airport. Terminal D is on the west side of the airport. I'll be using Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 and 2020 in this explanation right now. So we are going to load everything up from SimBrief, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the route request. You see the route right there. This is similar to how my real airplane does it, a little bit different, but let's notice a few things. Zero fuel weight is 449.2. That is 449,200 pounds. That's everything but the fuel. Our reserve fuel is 22,400 pounds. Our block fuel is 172,300 pounds. You can see our total distance, and then our very high cost index of 200, meaning we're gonna be flying fast, probably a high headwind or longer routing. And our initial altitude is 50330. I hit set payload and set fuel. That loads the fuel into the sim automatically. And you'll notice that the fuel quantity is amber in the middle because we have fuel in the middle, but we don't have the fuel pumps turned on. It does say fuel in the center. It's a safety feature saying, hey, pilots, you have fuel in the middle. Plane isn't currently using it for whatever reason. Could be most likely that the fuel pumps are not turned on. That's all done. Life is good. Now let's get the route loaded into London, which I could probably do from memory, but I would never do that. So you see it says route requesting. In real life, it's kind of how long it takes a little while, but I have to hit activate, execute, and it's still waiting for it. It's being sent wirelessly down to the airplane. Waiting, waiting, waiting. And you see there's nothing loaded right now, just the departure, the origin and destination. Lots of things being uplinked right now. And the real plane is tones going off. Ding, 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 ding. But you see route uplink is there. I hit load, but nothing happened. This plane was designed in the 90s. We have 90s level CPUs going on. It takes a while for it to actually get into the right spots of the FMS. Now the execute button is lit up, meaning it's all there. I can hit execute. Even more data to load, not just the route. So go to the FMC com, and now I'm going to go ahead and load the performance. And the real plane, the zero fuel weight is put in there. Whatever reason, it didn't get pushed over. I don't know why. I'll fix it later on. I'll go ahead and hit accept. Now I'm going to go back to FMC.com and I'm going to uplink the winds at every single waypoint from here all the way to London. I hit load, but nothing happened. Now execute. This is faster than a real plane, by the way. A real plane takes a while for it to get all the winds in there. Also, the descent, but not just the descent winds, the transition level of 7,000 feet. And you can see how the actual winds are there as well. London, the transition level can change. We should get that on the ATIS. But going back to performance, I need to put that zero fuel weight in there. Again, from memory, it was 449.2, 449,200 pounds. That's the weight of all the people on board, the airplane, and all the cargo and all the bags. It's 449,200 pounds, approximately, because we don't actually weigh you guys, right? That'd be pretty, people would be kind of embarrassed if we had to put a scale next to the airplane. So we use average weights, and it does work out pretty well. You can see our gross weight now is 621,500 pounds. She is a big girl. Now we need some takeoff speeds and performance. We almost always use flaps 15 where I work, so put flaps 15 in there. And we need a CG. Again, normally it's provided by the dispatcher. I believe it's 27. I'm going to be off here. I might be 28. But to get the takeoff speeds, I'm going to use this handy dandy EFB here. Again, normally this comes from my dispatcher, but this is similar to it anyways. You put all the data in, and I'm going to go ahead and change it to 28. Now that's the right CG. Go back over here, and is data in, data out. So once I get all the data in there, this tablet can then formulate a plan for takeoff. And it's gonna initially give me a flaps 5, that's optimum, but I never used a flaps 5 ever before in a 777-300. I've always used flaps 15. So I'm gonna change it to what I'm used to. Flaps 15. That's what I know. Why? Because that's what I know. Why? Because that's what I know. And I'm gonna calculate. And now it's telling me I'm going to be doing a TO2 takeoff at a selected temperature of 44 degrees. So we're going to derate the engines by 20% on this sim and further derate it again, telling the plane to pretend that it's 44 degrees Celsius outside. As a human being, when it's hot outside, you perform worse, less power from your body. Same thing with this whole telling the engines to pretend it's 44 degrees Celsius. It produces less power, less engine wear, less noise, less fuel usage, and less chance of having an engine issue on takeoff, right? So that's what we put into the system. Again, TO2, 44 degrees, flaps 15. Now, again, on the next screen, we're going to look at our takeoff page just to make sure it's good, and it's not quite good. I need to make the numbers big. So making the numbers big puts them onto my PFD and makes them official. Otherwise, we have nothing. Page 2, you see EOXL height. That is how high we're going to climb to on a single engine before we start accelerating to a faster speed. We'll climb at V2 until then. Normal accel height is 1,500 feet, and thrust reduction on this sim is also 1,500 feet. So takeoff power until that altitude, then we reduce power and nose it over to start accelerating. So let's talk about our departure procedure today. We're doing the Grabby 8 RNAV departure, and you can see it services runways 17 center, right, 18 left, right, 31 left, right, 35 left, center, and 36 left, right. And you can kind of see by the way it's angled toward the top right, this is for an eastbound departure. And normally in DFW Airport, if you're headed to the east, you'll depart from the east side of the airport. So my expectation bias was we'd be departing from runway 35 left. That's just the way the DFW Airport is normally operating. So I actually loaded runway 35 left because that's what my experience being based in DSW for most of my career told me. But let's talk about a few more things on this departure procedure. So you see the little gray circle there, that is the airport, so to speak. And going northbound, the first fix you see some blue numbers, 1120. That means you're going to climb on a heading at 356 until you get to 1,120 feet based on your altitude readout. Once you get there, you're going to go direct to Kuzen or Haskell, depending if you're leaving from the east side of the airport or the west side of the airport. Each one of those fixes has a 5,000 and a line below it. That means you need to be above 5,000 feet before you reach that fix and no faster than 240 knots. Now, here's why it's so important to have the right runway loaded. I loaded up runway 35 left, right? Correct? Sorry. If I had left that into the FMS and we departed from runway 36 right, on takeoff, the plane would climb on heading 356 to 1,120 feet, then make a right turn to go toward Kuzen. If another plane was departing on runway 35 left, we could have a situation. That's why it's critical, and we check multiple times, we have the right runway loaded. And even after we check it multiple times, the DFW tower, when we're clear for takeoff, they'll say, flight 955, clear takeoff, runway 36 right, RNAV to Haskell. They want to make sure that we are taking off from runway 36 right, the piece of pavement, and our first named waypoint is Haskell. It is an extra check to make sure that we are all on the same page. There have been instances a long time ago where planes would take off with the wrong runway loaded and the plane turns the wrong way. Thankfully, there's even more safeguards. They have very high updating radar. They can tell right away if the plane is turning the wrong way and issue commands quickly. I've never seen it or heard it happen in my own eyes and ears, but I have seen news reports of it happening. It's pretty rare, but again, it's very critical. We always check the waypoints, and we check every single waypoint between our departure and our arrival multiple times before we even leave the gate and before we ever, and then en route, and then before we even land. We always check it over and over and over and over again. All right. Also, while we're here, you can see at the very top of the screen, it has lone star departure, and it has different departure frequencies depending on what runway you are departing from. It looks complicated. It is a little complicated, but having these nice, clear departure procedures, it makes a nice, easy transition as we go from talking to tower to talking departure to talking to a center. Those are different levels of ATC. The people in the tower on the airport only handle us for the first 30 seconds after departure off the ground. Then we get handed over to departure. They handle us for a little while to get to about 10,000 feet or higher, and then we go to a center controller from there. All right. Hope that makes sense. And I mentioned we check every waypoint. This is kind of how we do it. We put the ND, navigation display, on the plan screen, and then one person reads off the glass, meaning the FMS. The other one reads off the paper, really just the iPad. We go through every single fix from runway to runway. Well, runway to the arrival, the end of the star at our destination, because we might pick a different runway. But we read every single fix And we read it with actual letters. I won't say like GIJ. I know is Gipper. No, I say Golf India Juliet. Minko, Roswell, Incar, Isgas, all the way across. Now you'll see the 5450 north, that's a latitude longitude. The H, that's a half track. And unfortunately, this FMS isn't presented properly, but it's a half track. It's just a different way of latitude longitude. But we'll go all the way across the ocean to the arrival waypoint, and then we compare how many miles is in the FMS as far as the routing goes, bases our paperwork to make sure that the mileage are pretty darn close. And normally they're within 3 to 4 miles. So if they're like 100 miles off, we made a mistake. But if they're pretty close, then we're good to go. All right, FMS stuff is done. Go ahead and get the plane ready to depart. Going over the remote control panel, flight director on, our throttles are on. Set the speed bug to the V2 speed, which is 164 knots. That is, if we lose an engine on takeoff, we're climbing at 164. And again, just verify it. So FMC, perf, thrust limit, takeoff page, V2 is indeed 164. Um, the heading bug should be on a runway heading. DFW is pretty easy. It's heading 356 for all the north-south runways anyway. Getting that fine tuned. There we go. Initial altitude is 10,000 feet for this departure. My flight director turned on. Then I just want to go through all the systems to make sure everything looks good. Look at down engine. I pressed the wrong button again. Engine. Make sure you have engine oil. And on flight sim, you always have plenty of engine oil. But real life might not have enough, so we want to make sure that's good. Hydraulic fluid quantity. Make sure that's all good as well. And the pressures make sense for what is currently being used. And then fuel, make sure we're balanced out. Of course, I see the fuel down here, but also there as well. And again, we have the fuel pump. One of them is just turned on from the center tank on the 300 for the APU. It can turn on its own fuel pump. No intervening necessary. And then I wish my cam button worked because in real life, those cameras are pretty useful. We push back from the gate. We're taxiing away. Life is good. That's a DFW ground flight 1514, spot 134 with Echo. Hey, thanks for Echo flight 1514. Taxi runway 36 right via Golf 9, Foxtrot, and Whiskey Hotel. I'm like, runway 36 right. Well, crap. I put in runway 35 left. I am not going to go heads down and start typing away right now. Being on the ground is a very busy and can be a very stressful environment. Lots of moving airplanes. We're in a long airplane, and these are kind of narrow taxiways for this long airplane. So I'm going to be heads up. There's no reason to rush. The captain is a new to the seat captain. They've been flying wide bodies for 15, 20 years, but they are a new captain, right? I was a new captain once. It's different sitting a few feet to the left. So I'm heads up, and I'm gonna wait until they are on a nice long straight where I'm sure there's no traffic gonna be involved. We're not crossing any runways. And then I'll ask, hey, do you mind if I go heads down and change the runway? Sometimes I say no, stay with me. All right, I'm staying with you. Worst case scenario, we get down towards the runway to a tower. We need a few minutes to reprogram the box for the right runway. I have never had a tower controller have an issue. They might give us a different taxi line down toward the end, but it's not an issue. But once we get to a safe spot, I will stop, put my head down, start typing away into the FMS to load the new runway. And once I load that new runway, this plane will delete all of my takeoff speeds. Why? Because those speeds were valid for that particular runway. And now we're going on a different runway. Now in DFW, the north-south runways are all almost the exact same length, and the terrain around the airport isn't affected by different runways. So most of the time in DFW airport, the speeds are the same. But if you're somewhere that has different size runways or different orientation, where now you're headed towards some terrain, you might have a higher power setting, a different flap setting, or you might not even be able to depart that new runway. It could be a weight restriction suddenly. And people hear the weight restriction and think, that they said we were weight restricted, but we took off. We had lots of runway available. That might be the case, but you might be a climb limited weight restriction, meaning there might be some terrain you can't even see with your own eyes that could be an issue on that new runway. Because every takeoff, we have to be able to take off, go down the runway, lose an engine at the worst possible time, climb away from the runway airport, and safely depart the area or come back around, not hitting terrain. And if we are now too heavy for the direction we're pointed, we can't no we can no longer take off, and we need a guess lose weight really. And here's just the flight radar 24 of the flight that day. You can see we departed Terminal D, headed straight down the Gulf Taxiway toward the runway 36 right. And me being used to Dallas, being very comfortable with the airplane, I had plenty of time to reload the FMS, verify the waypoints, finish the checklist, make the takeoff PA for the flight attendants, and switch over to tower, and we departed the area. So it was not an issue. But again, if you're unfamiliar airport, nighttime, weather, whatever, you slow things down. As a pilot, when I was a captain, the best tool I had in my toolbox was the parking brake. We don't move until I'm happy. So, the parking brake and you wait. But we departed the area, and it was a pretty bumpy flight all the way over. All three of us had pretty turbulent brakes. We got into the London area, and we didn't have to hold, thankfully. We came in, we hit Bovington, and, and got vectors over to land on runway 27 right. It was a very rainy day in London. Rainy and actually pretty windy. Here's Flight Focus 365. Great. It's a great service they have. I believe they use AI to zoom in all the airplanes. But again, 777-300, if you zoom in really high, you can see me in the right seat. Just kidding, you can't see me. But you can see the plane rocking a bit as you're getting hit by the winds pretty good. As the winds come in, uh, they hit the hangars and some buildings on the south side of the airport, and it makes some weird winds as we get the lower and lower we get. Captain made a great landing. Again, brand new Captain on 777-300, and right on the 1,000-foot markings, down and done. And then you'll see the fury of water coming up as they apply reverse thrust. And it is completely normal and expected that we depart the runway on a high speed with reverse at idle. We have so much inertia that we slow down to about, 10 to 20 knots, and we'll still be in reverse thrust at idle, exiting the runway. Totally normal, but you can see the fury of the water coming up as the reverse thrust is still being activated. Pakistan 327, again, dreary, cold London and wet London day. Grabbed all my bags, and you can see the cameras on the captain's ND screen right there. Grabbed all my bags and headed out the door. And one thing I do is I always check Google Maps on how long the current traffic situation is to the hotel. If it's crazy long, I always use the restroom before we leave the airplane. And because this day, it was some considerable traffic. It took, I think it was an hour and 15 minutes for a pretty short drive to get to the crew hotel. And I was a little tired, right? I mean, it's morning time in Dallas. I had the last break, but I'm ready for a nap. A little groggy. And then as we're sitting in traffic, I opened up and read a email from the company about me having entitlement rights to the 787. I'm like, entitlement rights? What is this you say? Uh, yeah, I made a horrible bidding mistake. Thankfully, I had a seat lock. I already made a video about this, but talk about a little bit of heart stopping, thinking, did I make a bidding mistake? Oh my gosh. But now it's time for the debrief. So that was a trip. Left about an hour late. Minor maintenance is what it is, which is rare on the 300. Captain took the leg over. They're new to the 300, well, new captain. They flew the 777 a lot as an FO, new to Dallas because they used to fly out of LA. But left the gate. I thought we'd get 35 left. We got 36 right. Short taxi, but I was able to quickly and safely change the departure in the FMS head and verify performance and yada yada yada. Very bumpy flight over. We had, all three of us had turbulence on our brakes. I had the last brake because they flew over here. What else? La 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 la. I was ready to go on my break when I went on break. I was exhausted. Even though I had a nap today, a 2-hour nap, I was still pretty tired. Windy and rainy approach into here. Got small delay getting to the gate. We're only halfway full, so we deplaned quickly. Traffic getting here wasn't horrible, wasn't great either. But I got the smallest hotel room I've ever gotten in London. Really small. But I'm gonna go to bed now. Oh, also, if you watch all my videos, in a recent video I had a thing about bidding, like all the equipment people bid on and seniority and everything, and I said to check your preferences because you might bid for something and forget you have something in there. Yeah, I'll probably show you on the screen an edited email I got. I was awarded Dallas 787, but withheld uh, till March of 2026. I quickly deleted my entire. It's called an entitlement. I deleted it. I forgot I had bid for Dallas 787. If I change my mind, I have until the next bid run to tell them I do want to go to Dallas 787. I'm pretty sure I don't. I'd be much more junior. But yeah, check your preferences. I have now deleted all preferences. So, oops. All right, going to bed now. So on the trip right before this, it was sunny and cold. On this trip, it was rainy and cold. So I did very little. As an FO, I always have an umbrella because I walk around. So I just went out, got some lunch, did some shopping real quick, and that was it. I was not in the mood to be wet and cold. Anything below 70 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm cold. It was colder than 70 degrees. But again, had some lunch, some snacks, called the family, played some Madden, went to bed. Nothing exciting. And now, let's head back to Dallas. And good morning. It is in the 7 o'clock hour here locally in London. It's in the 1 o'clock hour back at home. Wide awake. Had a good night's sleep. I even got a 94 score from my Apple Watch. How much sleep I got. Sleep is good. It rained here, so it didn't go out, right? I was here a couple days ago. I've been here a lot, so just went out to get my lunch, and then I did close my rings, walking around a little bit more, and that's it. I did spent a lot of time in the hotel, getting stuff I could get done at home, remote stuff. Because even though I'm gone, being a dad and husband doesn't stop, right? So scheduling stuff to get done, making sure certain bills are paid and that kind of thing. It's adult stuff. One thing we did have to plan for, my wife is a scientist, and she handles West Palm Beach, Florida. Even though we live in Texas, right? Her company contracts with West Palm Beach, Florida for criminal cases, for DNA stuff. If you're a criminal in West Palm Beach, Florida, my wife knows who you are. And if you DNA behind. Anyway, she has to go testify in court every now and then, which is a pain because I travel as well. We have no family in town, so we always have to have one person on the ground at all times. These court cases come up at the last minute all the time. And she got advised last week on Friday that she had to be in court Wednesday of this week. Today is Tuesday. Not normally my flights run on time, but we have to always plan for a contingency in case something goes crazy. But 90, good Lord, 99, 98% of the time, these criminals plead out the next Monday. But we had to plan for it. So she had to go ahead and pencil in buying a last minute ticket on my airline, which is good for my airlines and revenue. She has to pay full fare because it's a company business thing. Her company pays for it anyway. But we had to get all that arranged, and then of course yesterday she got advised in the morning that he took a plea deal, so she doesn't have to go. So it's always all right. Get everything ready to go. Prepare all these backup plans, and then nothing, which we prefer actually. But that's some of the peeking behind the curtain of a pilot family with a very intelligent wife who has to travel every now and then as well. But I'm all packed up. Gonna head downstairs again. It is my leg back to DFW. 77300. The plane is on time. I always check. I always check the status of the inbound before I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, make sure that it's all okay. The plane is actually getting into the gate right now, so we should have time to clean it before we get there, get on board, and blast out of here, totally full, back to DFW. All right, let's go. I did forget to mention, I did change up my breakfast. I normally get these locally, but I also got some cantaloupe instead of my normal papaya because the papaya was expensive. This is on sale for half off. So I got that half off. It was $3 versus like $8 for the papaya. All right, in case you wanted to know. Now the hotel does offer breakfast, and it's like £6. So it's cheaper to eat in hotel breakfast than it is for me to buy my protein drinks and fruit. But this way I can stay in the room, have breakfast in my leisure, and be in my uniform. I won't go to breakfast in my uniform. This is not who I am. But a nicer day in London. Traffic wasn't too bad going to the airport. We got to Terminal 3, cleared security, head down to the gate, getting my leg back to DFW. I say it that way because that's how I say it. You can see the clearance here from London to Dallas. If we depart runway 27 left, it's not an issue. If we depart runway 9 right on the Compton departure, we had to call them because of one of you guys explained it to me because it's a local airport and their procedures. We can't do the RNAV from runway 9 right. So they have to tell us via voice. It's kind of silly, whatever. But very nice flight back, very standard. Got to gate in Dallas, nice and early. Life is good. Cleared customs, out on the sketchy employee bus, out to my car, and now for the headed home debrief. All right, 3:28 p.m. and done. Very standard trip. Little drama on the way back, nothing major. Would have got in super early, but we got the east side of the airport, and captain's new to taxiing, so it took a little longer to taxi than normal. But I've had a lot of landings this month. I've landed 4 times in 1 month, which is a lot for me, right? So my next trip is a relief pilot, and then next month I have 3 FO and 1 relief pilot in theory, but I'm probably going to trade them all out to be just relief pilot because, I don't know, there's perks to both. Relief pilot, all you do is show up, take a nap, then you're up front for the whole flight for a 3-pilot crew. 4-pilot crew, it's even easier. I can't really hold those trips, really. There's perks to both. FO, I do like landing, don't get me wrong. But being and kind of showing up and taking a nap right away is nice as well. But very standard trip. I hope I put more flight sim in this video than I normally do, and I will hand it over to Darren to wrap it all up. All right. So back-to-back London trips. Well, almost back-to-back, right? I had a 3-day trip, off for just 1 day, and another 3-day trip. I have done back-to-back trips 1 time. A little bit rough. Now, this all came about because I am junior. My wife has to travel for a living every now and then, and we have no family in town. So with 2 kids, we always have to have 1 person on the ground at all times. And sometimes it just means I have to do trips I don't really want to do, but I don't complain because I have a pretty freaking awesome job and awesome wife and family. So you can see that the amounts for each trip are almost identical. I'm paid $3 or $4.54 per hour of credit. I am paid $4.07 per hour for my per diem. That per diem starts an hour before departure. That's my sign-in time until we get back from the trip. So while I'm flying, walking through airports, clearing customs, sleeping, yada, yada, I'm being paid that $4.07 per hour. Additionally, my company puts an amount equal to 17% of my income into my 401k every month as well. How's the sim content working for you guys? I put more sim content in this video and my last video. Is it interesting? Is it boring? Is there something you want me to recreate for you? Because again, I can't ever film in flight, period, point blank, not allowed. So I do what I can to recreate situations where I think people would find interesting. If there's something you want to see, drop it in the comments and I'll see if I can put it in a video for you. All I ask for you is from you all is to click subscribe, drop a comment, click like, have a great day, and as always, thank you very much for stopping by.